Hey, good morning, everybody. Sorry for the buzz behind me, but some work being done here. Can't stop it. All right, so yeah, charts. Let's get charts. Otherwise, I'm just kind of talking to myself while you guys are listening, right? Okay, here we go. So, look, yesterday was, excuse me, NASDAQ institutional favorites moving up, pushing the markets, and let's call them, well, beaten down, to some degree junk. They're not all junk, but things that have been out of favor, money rotating into the unloved. Um, we saw breakouts in certain stocks that look like they can go higher. You know what we call bringing up the rear, catch up type trades. The broader markets, again, other than the Nasdaq, pretty much performed as anticipated, which was pretty much nothing. Uh, little move up. Looking at the futures here, they had a little move up, and so when we look, I talked about yesterday was the depth of retracement late in the week last week, and how that created this topping tail. We talked about the power of the move up, it being at resistance. We went into yield curves and how transports, truckers, rails, Federal Express, and a lot of things that are worrisome to the market into medium term occurred at the end of last week. So we're kind of like in limbo, so to speak, as to what are you going to do here? What pattern are you going to form? Can you go higher? Are you going to roll over here? You know, different patterns as to what may occur. We spoke about the potential for, this green bar forming, triggering above that high, and today doing this, which would result, in a move down. That's yet to see what's going to happen, of course. All right. We don't know today. We just know what is. Whether this can turn around and become a green day and go up, it's below the open. Can it move up here today? We talked about an M top. Again, we're kind of, I don't know. Can this actually show some strength? Can it get above here? And even if it does, that doesn't eliminate the potential for an M top type of pattern. You've got this resistance up here. We've got those negative things. We've got the Fed going to raise interest rates. And while some of that gets, built into the market, I guess when the news comes out, there's typically a reaction. So we'll see how it all plays out. But we do have these pockets of strength, in these stocks that have been beaten down, and they do look like they can do well. Can they hold up if the market corrects and show relative strength? That's the real tell with those bottoming type of stocks. Now, we see this is where the performance was, but now it's at this resistance area. It is a wide range bar. So we go in, you see this is the void, right? The one bar, multiple bars in a smaller time frame. There's a void. There's nothing to stop it from going down. It's at resistance. Notice the breakout failure that occurred there at 3:00 in the morning, which is when Europe opens up. And so I don't know what's going on there. I didn't look. Maybe something negative, but there was a breakout failure. So a little bit of negativity. Those of you that have listened to the pre-market reviews and, MT lives, when we talk about support and resistance, what has to happen here is, you see, it went straight up. There's no support in this time frame. We know that this cluster of opens and closes here provides some support. There's going to be a base in a smaller time frame somewhere over here. But what we need to see happen here is it form a pivot, right? In other words, it's got to create support where there isn't any. That's the bullish scenario. And then maybe, it often gets retested and then, things go up. So look, it's at a point here. It had a great day. relative to individual days, not really great as it relates to this picture right here, but we'll see how it plays out today. Um, so the Dow underperformed, was basically a go nowhere. It's in the bottom half of the red bar, going nowhere today, but had the same little breakout failure there. I'm just kind of chopping around at the bottom of this bar. So a pattern that basically says stay away for now. And this isn't updating. I don't know what happened. But let's look at the Russell yesterday. Had the breakout failure. This is what we reviewed yesterday. This is a failure pattern. It looked great, like it was heading higher, and it failed. Can it rebuild? Does it break here? If it does, odds are it's going lower. Can it get back up here and neutralize this negativity? Those are the unknowns. And so when we look at a chart and we say, hey, you know what? It could go this way, it could go that way. I really don't know. It means move on to something else. Leave it alone. Bitcoin up here a bit, but inside yesterday's range. Flip back down here. It's close to resistance. Similar pop and in. Different time, of course, but as far as a pattern goes, we're back to the same scenario or conclusion of, I don't know yet. I don't know if it can take out yesterday's high. Well, resistance is right here. It's really not all of that attractive a pattern either way. The ideal situation is it goes sideways a little bit since we've got the bottoming tail bar and then higher. Similarly to say, hey, look, if this can come down and retest this, it's not a pivot yet. But if it can go sideways here a bit without doing any significant damage, things might change. But if the buyers show up aggressively, from this shallow retracement and it stalls right away, I see it as being trouble. So I come to the same conclusion here is like, I really don't know. It's kind of like a nothing pattern. So we'll focus on other things. Yeah, crude oil, that pattern is shaping up that we've talked about for the last couple of weeks. And this retest, nothing here is really clean. And it's not like it jumps out and says, hey, here's a fantastic directional setup. It's more of running in place and seeing what develops here, whatever news might come. Earnings are going to start. So it's just not high probability scenarios, except maybe credit spreads. I'm not looking at futures, but if, down here, a pattern like this could be something to consider. Credit spreads with a few days to expiration. Silver, it's just messy, but same thing. I don't know. It's just not a kind of a pattern. This bar is obviously incomplete because it's, almost 9:15. So what do I do with this? Nothing. Not even intraday is it interesting. Maybe down here, if you were up in the middle of the night, would have been something, but now it's at resistance and it's in a trading range. So it's a mess. Same scenario, trading range, set an alert on this and see if it gets going. GLD, just set an alert up here and see if it's moving up. Other than the overnight trading, this went nowhere. So what's the benefit of all this? Really to recognize what is, because, we may have our individual bias. Oh, I think this is going to happen. That's going to happen. And the charts are communicating that there's not much of anything happening right here. Different markets we look at, they're on hold. Whatever they're waiting for, I don't know. China's shutting down now. New York's going back to mandatory masks. There's still craziness out there. Got Obama now is going to be in the White House, who's been running things anyway, him and his crew going back. It's a nut house out there. Yeah, it was on the news this morning, Robert. Obama going to be in the White House on a weekly basis, advising Sleepy Joe. And it was on Fox News, or CNBC. I flip back and forth in the morning just to see, when they start talking about things that don't interest me, I flip to the other one to see if there's something of interest there. One thing that was kind of interesting, and the young guy on CNBC, he's a card-carrying liberal, but he used the term parenting, a parenting way of, like, it was explaining from a parenting point of view his own interest in Bitcoin, of wanting it to be overseen by the government. And so he was kind of leading the people he was interviewing as to it being a corrupt instrument of trading, which to some degree, what isn't some corruption when you come to the stock market, that somebody isn't front running something or somebody knows something that someone else doesn't know. It's just maybe a different degree of corruption over there that regulators want to get their teeth into, which I suppose will eventually happen. Yeah, it's a weird time. Transports just annihilated last week. They were stabilizing on some support here. There's a void above. Maybe they can pop up a little bit. They held up okay. I think these are at a turning point. Airlines, that bottoming tail bar, so that was decent price action. This rolled over. We'll see. For buyers to step up initially after the beginning of a turn is typical. Turning points just tend to be difficult, especially the high turning points. Buyers don't give up at highs like sellers give up at the lows. Fear is so much more powerful an emotion to getting climactic, and sellers, just throwing in those shares at the bottom, convinced that it's going lower, and then a turn beginning to happen. Whereas the highs just tend to be very resilient, or more so. It's just the way it is historically. This still acts well in GDX. That had a great day on Friday, and little correction day today, but going sideways like, lots of stuff is. So, we'll see if, want to mess this up here. Apple institutions came forward again, didn't take out the high. So while it's a big day, impressive day, we'll see what it does here at the highs, and, what was moving the market yesterday. Because if you look at, QQQ, and then you look at equal weighted, look where the 200 is there. And look at that. Severe underperformance when you equal weighted. So that the big cap stocks are the ones that are moving things again the way it used to be. So, but, as pointed out, maybe Dan will cover a few of them. We saw some really great looking bottoming patterns, that were breaking out of multi-month long basis. So, Facebook, I mentioned yesterday in the room, Dan, I said that was one of the better looking type of bottomings that broke out of the red bar ignored. So that's one of the better, and like Apple's already at resistance, but bottoming patterns. Look, if the market, here's the problem with bottoming patterns. Call it undervalued, call it cheap, call it whatever. This looks fantastic. There's a lot of people that can't wait to get their money back to some degree, but there's lots of hopes here. It's Facebook, right? Institutional favorite. But if the market starts to fall apart, on a short-term basis. And I'm not using the word crash or anything like that. And it's too early. But this kind of a pattern, we could go back on it, and say, well, why did this breakout fail? I'm not saying it will. We're going to be interested to see if this can continue to go up, today and tomorrow, since it does look good coming up toward this area here, maybe 250 or so. But if at the end of the week, if we were to see that this was a green bar ignored, we'd be saying, what the hell happened? And it's going to be related to its underperformance and, the money going into the winners. And then the winners start to, wobble a bit. And so, and everything that I'm saying leads to, hey, we've got some decent looking stuff that we can focus on and go with. And we've got some other stuff that says, keep an eye on that exit door because somebody might yell fire. So, I think that's the bottom line. More so, right now than, days where everything lines up well and, you can throw a dart at it and things, the monkey can do it. So there you have it. Take it away, Dan.
Rocco, you like how he introduces me on the monkey comment? Wow. All right. So not many earnings. Let's just see what I have here in my interest list. All the opens look fine. Some up, some down. I went through everything. There's nothing to do though on anything. DWAC here, this was a bear flag we mentioned. We shorted it last week, and it's obviously getting hurt with the Twitter Musk news, and this stock's going to be in play, I think, for a long time. At least in the short term. So overnight, I guess, and he tweeted, do you want this? I don't even use Twitter. I don't even know what an edit button means, and I don't know if that, whatever. He's going to get on the board. That's a good thing, I guess, for the bulls. He's going to shake things up. So now it's up at 54 and change. I got a short bias on this thing. Things just don't go up crazy like this. But do you remember I said yesterday? I said, let the thing rally to 60 bucks. I don't care. Look at that volume. Absolutely astonishing. Over 250 million shares yesterday. That is impressive volume. But I got a short bias on it. Day trade, you had a nice little breakout here over lunch yesterday. Well, Ken, yes, but you got to use the charts, of course. So Snap, I think, was a little beneficiary of that yesterday. Facebook, well, George, why mess with it? Because it's going to be a call spread, is why I mess with it. Like I do any other Climo stock, whether it's climb up to the upside or climb up to the downside. But you know us, we're pattern traders. That's why I said let it go to $60. I don't care, because then our setup will be better. All right, so I think Facebook is getting some bids also just in light of that, but that's a beautiful 15-minute chart right here. So whether day trade or swing, I like that. GWH, Jacopo asking about, yeah, definitely. Bottoming pattern, closing breakout, gap breakout. Absolutely. Jacopo, that looks fantastic. So I'm going to put that in a window. GWH. Yeah, looks like that's we have MT lives on bottoming patterns, and this is absolutely perfect. No, George, George, just I don't want to beat it to death right now, pre-market here, but of course not. But I keep things on my list sometimes for 3 weeks until they set up. So of course that's not ready, but trust me, I'm keeping it on my list. So this is right out of our bottoming pattern, empty lies. Beautiful, beautiful gap reversal, higher low retest, breakout, 20 and 50 converging. It's beautiful. So this looks fantastic. Maybe we buy a 5-minute high, maybe a little pullback, whatever. But that's what I call a tier one. As long as it doesn't freak out at the open and the market doesn't freak out, it looks fantastic. All right, this NANY, I liked it better when it was gapping the 240 here. Now it's kind of weakening a little bit, but I posted that as a 30-minute high. Look at this GBTC. Actually, I just finished doing the trade review of the week. We entered, and it's going to be about buying, on support and sideways trends. But this 180 reversal in 123, I kept it on my list, and now it's gapping up here. So let's come back to that 30-minute high. A BITO, another one. Looks good. It's kind of a W bottom retest on the weekly. General Motors. See, I also liked it better when it was gapping up more, but 30-minute high. I'm not rushing into any of these. And yeah, there's a lot of stocks like this that they could be nice entries if they hold. Look at Roblex. Roku, I mentioned yesterday, pre-morning was going to be a put spread, but it was too spready. Zoom, all these have big moves and making little higher low consolidations. PayPal's been on our list for months. I've been watching this PayPal. We traded it nice over here. It's another bottoming put spread idea. Mara up here, but I don't like the pullback from all those overlapping bars. Lynn, this was earnings. I can't tell where it's trading, but breakout failure. AYI gapping up a little bit, but no price void. So it's just a big mess. So you're gone. Carvana and downgrade. Kind of just gapping halfway into that bar. So no interest. Carnival Cruise Line. A nice gap, 2080. Greg, remember this? You go in and, I was like, I don't see any short here. So the news was they had like record bookings last month. They mentioned one particular week or whatever. So people are, the CDC came out and finally removed the mask, or they did. CDC removed the warning that don't sail things, that they're dangerous. So that that's helping it, and then pent up people wanting to travel, so on and so forth. JR, we already looked at GM, 30-minute high. I said XPEV, we're actually in already. We entered that yesterday, 30-minute high or 5-minute high, whatever it was. So yeah, that's a continuation. You can buy over yesterday's high. Neo, the Neo didn't have as big a price void though, but the EV space was bullish yesterday. EV and batteries obviously goes with that. Look at plug, wide range breakdown. GTLB, Greg mentioned. Little closing breakout here. You can buy over yesterday's high. Let me set an alarm. I'm going to set an alarm early, 60, 40-ish. $60.40 up alarm. I just had a TMOS low alarm go off. Oh, what happened to TMOS here? We actually sold a third yesterday, right at the dead high at this breakout failure. All right, so something's going on with that. I better put him in a window. Intuit was another one we bought yesterday and we sold a third at the high. That still looks good. Pins was on our list yesterday. I was really hoping we'd get a 1, 2, 3, but breakout of a bottoming pattern on the weekly, closing breakout daily. That looks really good. I'll put pins here actually. John Square. There's no good price for it there, John. On the Square daily. Archie. It's up 2 bars. It was top of the range thing, but maybe 30-minute high. Yeah, the Arc Lady. The Arc Lady had a nice bounce in all her funds. Mogo, nice wide range closing breakout. I see a print down here, which would actually be good because then you would buy yesterday's high. NGM, it's a bio. It's had a big, today's Tuesday, last Friday, it had a monster day, but that looks higher. CSIQ, closing breakout. Here you go, and it's gapping. This is gapping up from an end of day base. So that looks really good. Target maybe 40 bucks. Target's not huge, but we're traders, and that's a nice pattern right there. I'm gonna GM filled the entire gap now. So something's wrong with that gap up. Pelletier, Delta 20. Yeah, we actually I think we're in this too. I definitely remember we actually added a lot of trades yesterday. Let me see if this one would. Yeah, we're in Pelletier breakout. We're in from yesterday, but looks good. TMUS here. All right, let's move stop 5-minute low because I don't like the gap. And we'll just take our money. That was such a beautiful bullish pattern yesterday. All right, let's cancel GM.